So this girl is 16 in a wheelchair because she's paralyzed. That was 26 years ago. I had a limp for 26 years. So the last time I left off with, I told you folks about how I had a spinal fusion and it went wrong. I've had a couple of them. This was my second round of spinal fusions and I'm likely due for more. That's the upsetting part. When my surgeon gave me my prognosis, because I had tried steroids to bring the swelling down in my spinal cord and that just didn't work. That just created roid Monica. There was a lot of yelling and throwing of tapes. My poor mother, she took the brunt of it. The prognosis didn't go well. There was swearing. I wish I could say a slow tear went down my face like in a movie. But no, when I was told I was paralyzed for life, I swore a blue streak. And then I didn't talk. For a couple of days, I would try and nothing would come out. I now know that's called selective mutism or traumatic mutism. When someone's so upset, they just can't get the words out. They're too traumatized. After a day or so of this, well, I don't even know how long, and it doesn't matter. My dad put me in the car. Said, "You want to get out of here?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, let's go on vacation." And he took me in the car, and he took me to this part of Minneapolis. And I don't know where we were. This was my first experience in the city, but it was clear it was a rough neighborhood. All the hallmarks were there. So I asked my dad, like, "Why did you take me to Crackville?" "I wanted you to see, honey, that other people have problems. I know you know that intellectually, but sometimes we have to be taken out of where we're at to get a different perspective." And he was right. He said he also took me out because he wanted to hear from me. He had heard from so many experts about me and about my body, and he wanted to know, and I quote, "You live in that body, my dear. You tell us." The doctor's job, all these health professionals, their job is to help you with the data on your body. That's their job, but you live in it. You tell us. What do you think? I haven't heard what you think. And I'm so glad he did that because it gave me a much different perspective on my health and on my life. He's right. It is my body. I'm the one who lives in it. So we were driving, and after I thought about it, I told him what I really thought, which was my gut said I could walk. And he said, "Great, let's go back to the hospital and tell everybody, including your mother." I didn't tell her we left. I'm like, oh God. I took a nap, and when I woke up, my dad had piled all these books in my room and told me a long, drawn-out description of how beautiful the African-American librarian was who helped him, because that's my dad. He's always loved a beautiful woman. So the books he got me books on anatomy, how to pray away cancer, meditation. I learned how to meditate, and that's saved myself quite a few times in teaching. I can just go to my meditative place. And I asked him, "What's with all these books?" "Well, we're fighting a war, and we need knowledge. That's the first thing you need in a war, intelligence." And I'm like, "A war?" He said, "Yep. We're fighting a war against your body, and we are going to win." Next morning, he wheeled me into this conference room, and all of my healthcare professionals were there. He had assembled all of them, and this was a really intimidating experience for me, because even though I had done, public speaking in tournaments and things, it was very different having to advocate for myself. I wasn't used to that. I could advocate for anybody else. I'd fight for anybody else, but I wasn't so good at doing that for me. So my dad wheeled me in there and announced to everyone, "She is now the general. We are at war. No decisions get made without her input. And if anyone has a problem with that, they can go." One person had a problem with it. It was this therapist we've been working with who I was really frustrated with. So I didn't feel like she was very helpful. And I felt like she kept attacking my family for our dysfunction. Like, I know we're dysfunctional. I'm not fixing that in a couple weeks. Help me out. So she said, "Well," something along the lines of, "Well, I don't think." And my dad said, "Correct." And there was this long pause, and you could see people trying not to laugh in the room. And she huffed her way out, and he said, "Anyone else?" And this woman raised her hand, and I hadn't seen her before. And she apologized for being on vacation, said she was the head of physical therapy, and for me, "I've looked through your file, dear. I think you can walk with work. I've seen cases like this. Are you willing to work?" I was. She said, 6 a.m., pool, tomorrow morning, we start. We're going to get those legs moving. Her theory was if you get the legs moving, the nerves and everything reconnect. I don't know the science of it. She's been proven right, by the way. Nowadays, if you are paralyzed, the first thing they do is once they have you stable, they put you in this suit thing that puts you upright and moves your legs. Same idea, except she did it in a pool, a warm pool. I was late that first day because teenager, being an idiot. She put me in the pool. She dunked myself in the pool. If you're wondering, what is it like being in a pool when you're paralyzed? You float like a bobber, like this, just kind of looking up at her. And she's like, when I say 6, I mean 6. And I'm like, yeah, got it. You're in charge. And I'm very proud she was like that. I'm very happy, I should say, she was like that, because we got a lot of work done. I'm walking now because of her. I did physical therapy twice a day. Before that, I didn't really understand how much intelligence it takes to get the body to move a certain way. I didn't really appreciate athletics. After that experience, I did. Because, man, I was mentally and physically exhausted every day just trying to get these legs to move. When my right big toe finally wiggled, it was like Mardi Gras in that room. It was me, the physical therapist, my parents, and we were all just yelling and excited. A nurse had to come in and remind us, this is a children's hospital. A little less swearing, please. Good point, nurse. Thank you. After that, things accelerated pretty quickly. When my legs came back, it felt like they were on fire. I had chosen not to take pain meds because I was told that would help accelerate my progress, and it did. So I was just sitting there, dealing with the pain. That's another thing that this experience taught me. I can deal with a lot of pain. I know how to deal with it. I have methods, and that's a good thing to know. It's good to know your limits and your strengths. I learned a lot. I learned that I'm a lot stronger than I thought through this experience. Learning to walk is tricky when you aren't a toddler because you're taller. You know how hurt you can get. Everything is fused. You aren't as pliant as a toddler. So when you fall, it's a big old mess. And I fell a lot. Once I was on 2 crutches, and that happened within a month, I think. It all happened fairly quickly. I was all ready to be discharged, and then PT told me there's one last thing you have to do. And I'm like, what? You have to learn to fall. She flooded the back lot, because it was winter. She flooded the back lot of Shriners Hospitals, so we had an ice rink, basically. And she taught me I fell and fell, but she taught me how to walk on the ice, and more importantly, how to get up if I fall on the ice with weak legs. So she taught me all kinds of things about that. I now know that you shouldn't fall on your butt if you can help it. Try to maneuver, fall on your sides. Don't take it on the knees either. That'll bust them. So, side. So I'm pretty good at falling. What a weird thing to be good at. But I'm very grateful to PT for that. So I got to leave after 2 months with crutches. Now I use a cane sometimes if I'm having a rougher day. The only things that really bother me nowadays about my limp and about this entire experience is usually other people. Little kids are fine. I don't care if little kids stare. They're learning about the world. They sometimes will ask questions that their parents hush them up about. I had one kid who went, "Why is your body broken?" It's literally how he phrased it. "Why is your body broken?" And I love that. That's perfect. The only tricky thing is sometimes adults. I have handicap parking. I mean, I should. Come on. This ankle doesn't work. But sometimes I'll get out of my car and people will see that I parked in the handicap spot and they'll counter me on it as if I'm not disabled. Like, prove your disability. And they usually get a mouthful. They usually get quite a few choice words thrown at them. So overall, I would say, reflecting on this experience, I learned a lot. I'm not going to say I was glad it happened to me, because of course not. That's silly. But it taught me a lot. And I don't mind my limp so much. I'm proud of it. I worked to get it. The last thing I would say about all of this is, if you go through a disability experience or if you have a disability, find support. One of the things that helped get me through was my friends and my family. Like, they were just so supportive, and that's what you need. So find support. If you don't have it in your immediate circle, look online. There's about 1 million support groups for every variable thing you could think of. Find the people who are going through the same thing you are, and find out what works for them and what doesn't. But most importantly, talk about it. I bottled up a lot while going through this experience because my brain was trying to protect me. But I would say talk about it. It's more healthy. So there you go. That was the time I was paralyzed and I got better.